Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Licensing Act 2003 subcommittee to hear a temporary event notice application. Present at the meeting, councillors Anne Kelly, Karen Ingham, Howard Baker and Councillor Jeff Sumner, who will be the fourth standing member but will remain present throughout the hearing. Officers present: John Clucas, Licensing Officer, Catherine Wardby, Head of Legal and Democracy, Alison McEwen, Democracy Officer, Mark Hindman, Graphics Officer, and Thomas Bracewell from the Environmental Health Team. Also present are the hearing participants: Jill Wolfendale from Environmental Health at Burnley Borough Council and Ray Harrison, the applicant. Item 1 for the meeting: appointment of chair. Are there any nominations to chair the hearing panel today? Councillor Baker, you're on mute.
Even better without me. Can I nominate Anne Kelly, please? Councillor Kelly. Thank you.
Certainly can. Is that seconded?
I'll second that.
Okay. Members in favour?
Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Kelly, you are appointed as chair of the meeting. If you would like to take the rest of the agenda, please.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, everybody. First of all, have we any apologies for absence?
We haven't, Chair. Everybody is present.
Have we any minutes of a previous meeting?
Yeah, they should be in your pack. So it's whether members wish to accept those minutes as a true record.
I'm happy to accept them.
All members? Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional items of business?
There aren't any additional items, Chair.
Any declarations of interest? No. Exclusion of the public?
As per agenda, Chair.
As per agenda, Chair.
Okay, thank you. We know that everyone's here. We've confirmed that all the participants are here. Can I just go through the procedure for everybody? First of all, we will ask the licensing officer, Mr. Clucas, to present his report. At that stage, people will have the chance to ask questions. It's only asking questions about anything that's been said, anything that you might want clarification of, both participants and members. After that, the Environmental Health Officer will present her report, at which time you've got a chance to ask questions about the report, any clarifications that you need. Then the applicant, the licence holder, Mr. Harrison, will be able to present his report, and the same will apply. People can ask questions of him for clarification. When all the questioning is finished, each party, in the same order, will be able to sum up their case. At this point, you can't introduce any new evidence or new issues. It's just a summary of everything that's been said. At the end of the summing up, the committee will retire into private session to discuss their verdict and to make a decision. Has anybody any questions about the procedure and how that's going to work?
I think, Chair, the head of legal has her hand up and would wish to speak.
Okay, Catherine, yes.
Thank you very much, Chair. I understand there may be an application from Mr. Harrison before we actually start the hearing. So I don't know whether you want to invite him to speak at this point. I know it's sort of outside the normal procedure, but I did understand he was wishing to make an application.
Certainly, Mr. Harrison, do you want to speak at this time?
If you just unmute yourself, Mr. Harrison.
Yes, it was just the fact that we had two very late objections, and I don't know if I'm quite prepared. I've never done this before, but I'm willing to go along today. But like I said, there was two objections that come in very late yesterday, two other ones, but I'll do my best today, and let's see if we can get it sorted out.
You're happy for us to go ahead today? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Can I first ask Mr. Clucas, our licensing officer, to present his report, please?
Good morning, councillors. Good morning, participants. My name is John Clucas. I'm a compliance and licensing officer working for Burnley Council. I've sent a copy of the report prepared by Karen Davis, and that should be in your information pack. So the purpose of the hearing today is to consider a notice of objection received by the licensing authority in response to a temporary event notice application given by Mr. Harrison in accordance with Part 5 of the Licensing Act 2003. The area where the temporary events notice was requested is a car park and arches at the rear of 61 Bank Parade in Burnley. Now, members are recommended to make a determination with a view to promoting the 4 licensing objectives. And just to remind yourself, they are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. The options available to the committee may be to allow the licensable activities to go ahead as stated in the notice, the application, or the committee can issue a counter notice preventing the event taking place to the premises user under section 105(2)(b) if the committee consider it is appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. And then after that, they give a notice of the decision with an explanation under section 105(3)(a) to the premises user and to the irrelevant objecting person. The recommendations are responsible, the licensing committee are responsible for determining such applications where objections are received. In terms of the application, the event is to be held on these days, Friday the 27th to Monday the 30th of August inclusive. So that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And the licensable activities that are applied for in that notice are the sale of by retail of alcohol from 12 noon midday till 2300 hours. That's 11 p.m. That's on all 4 days. And the application also requests the provision of regulated entertainment from 3 p.m. till 9 p.m. just on the 2 middle days of that 4-day period on Saturday the 28th and Sunday the 29th of August. So that forms the basis of the application that Mr. Harrison has put in. The nature of the event is described as a mini beer festival with live music for up to 250 people. The event will be held in a marquee to be erected adjacent to the covered arches, within the arches and on part of the car park at the rear of 61 Bank Parade. And the application, the temporary events notice application, is contained within your papers. Now, following receipt of the temporary event notice, the licensing authority sent that out to the police and environmental health, and an objection notice was received from environmental health in accordance with section 104 paragraph 2, and the objection was as follows, and I'm quoting here: I am satisfied that allowing the premises to be used in accordance with the 10 could undermine the licence objective for the prevention of public nuisance, and I also have public safety concerns. For reasons that there have been previous noise complaints to the rear of 61 Bank Parade affecting nearby residents. This event could lead to complaints about noise causing public nuisance. The event is to be held on the land behind and below 61 on an area of car park underneath the arches where a marquee will be erected. There have been issues recently about an unsafe structure serving as a beer garden at 61 Bank Parade, and a prohibition notice was served. I am therefore of the opinion that should this event take place, this could lead to public safety concerns, and that thereby undermines the prevention of public nuisance stroke public safety licence and objectives. There's no financial implications in relation to this, and statutory consultation has taken place. That concludes my report. I'll be happy to try and clarify if anything, if any members or indeed the applicants or the objectors have any points to raise.
Mr. Harrison, do you want to ask any questions of anything that Mr. Clucas has said? Do you need any clarification?
No.
Okay, thank you. Members, anybody want any clarification or any questions of Mr. Clucas? Councillor Baker.
Sorry, I lost my mute button. Mr. Clucas, it says on the Friday and the Monday, basically, there'll be no sound other than the serving of beer and general chatter amongst people consume, or alcohol, should I say, and members of the public talking about that. No sounds of music in any shape or form, or anything like that. No background music or anything. Is that correct?
Yeah, we look at the application made by the person, and they have not requested that. They've said they want the provision of regulated entertainment on Saturday and Sunday, but that wouldn't preclude sort of normal sort of activities. But they haven't applied for any regulated entertainment on the Friday or the Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask Jill Wolfendale on behalf of Environmental Health to make her representations and present her report?
Yes, good morning. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. Good. So Environmental Health have submitted an objection to the application based on the fact that we feel that it would undermine the licensing objectives of prevention of public nuisance and also public safety concerns. Obviously, the reasons have been outlined generally by John in the previous submission. Just to expand on the reasons for that, in April, on the 19th of April this year, we did receive a noise complaint from a nearby resident about the noise from 61 Bank Parade. Specifically, it was from customers using the newly erected seating area, which is at the rear of 61 Bank Parade, which had been erected by use of a scaffolding onto a terrace at the back of Bank Parade. The noise was basically from customers, not from any music, because that wasn't obviously being allowed at that time due to COVID rules. So as per the noise complaint procedures that we have, diary sheets were sent out to the complainant, and we waited to see what came back from that. On the 29th of April, we also received complaint from the chair of Bank Hall Residents Association outlining some concerns again about noise from 61 Bank Parade and how that was impacting on the residents who live along that area and nearby to the pub. Though that included residents who were using Calico properties on a short-term basis, which was right next to the terrace. On the 10th of May, the initial complainant who we'd sent diary sheets off to gave evidence on the diary sheets and also provided noise recordings to demonstrate the level of noise that they were finding, which we felt was within the realms of statutory nuisance. So following liaison with the anti-social behaviour team, a decision was made to serve a community protection warning notice to Mr Harrison to stop using the rear of Bank Parade because it was having a detrimental effect on the quality of life of others nearby. Mr Harrison received that letter and some sample noise recordings as well, so that we could demonstrate to him the level of noise. There was also obviously discussion there about unlawful use of 61 Bank Parade as a drinking venue. And Mr Harrison was also advised to get planning permission for use of the terraced area. On the 21st of May, we also got an email via the Chief Executive of the Council, which was from Acorn Recovery Projects, which was again supporting the view that noise levels were unacceptable due to the proximity of the outside area of at 61 Bank Parade, which they felt was intrusive to their residents. In July, concerns were raised this obviously more recently with regard to the the bank parade again being reused, the terrace was being used again. So obviously those complaints, while they are related to the seating area at the rear of 61 Bank Parade, obviously leads me to believe that the proximity to those residential properties with this event would also lead to complaints. In terms of safety issues, obviously there were issues with regard to the scaffolding that had been erected outside the terrace back in April, which we spoke to Mr. Harrison about, and when we decided that because we had no reassurances that we had safety certificates, etc., to say that it had been erected in accordance with the work at height regulations, we just served a prohibition notice on the use of that until we got some safety reassurances, and a safety certificate was subsequently produced. So again, in use of this area in the car park area, obviously you've probably seen the photographs. I think page, obviously, on page 53, there's a photograph of the arches and the area beneath the scaffolding, and you'll see that obviously there is some work that needs to be doing. There are quite a few uneven surfaces, etc. And obviously we don't know who's going to be erecting the marquee structure. We don't really know how people will access egress from the site, whether there'd be provision for emergency services if that's necessary. Obviously, we haven't got information about toilet use or any risk assessments provided for that event. So that gives us concerns about the safety of the event as well. We got some complaints in just this week on the 12th from nearby residents to say that they had concerns about the event as well. Those are included in my submission. The concerns are about noise and also about the safety of the area, the car park area where the event is proposed to take place. So those are actually submitted there if members want to have a look at those. And those are again from nearby residents who, if you'll see from the photographs, are above the arches and to the right of the scaffolding. The people who live there are very, very near to where the event's going to be proposed to take place. So given all that, we do feel that there is a potential there for the licensing objectives to be undermined, and that there is a potential that we're going to get complaints about noise if the event goes ahead. That's my submission. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison, have you any questions that you would like to ask or clarifications about what Mrs. Wolfendale has said?
Yeah, what Jill's saying is totally irrelevant to the application about the terrace at 61 Bank Parade. Keep bringing this terrace up. This was a temporary structure that I built, which was advised by the government, by Boris Johnson, to any outside seating to give help with licensed premises, to help and aid them in this situation. I built the terrace outside my own house where I live at 61 Bank Parade, where I've lived for 18 years. I'm the owner of 61, I'm the owner of Stackhouses, and I'm the owner of the freehold of Stackhouses building. You keep saying that this is being held on a car park. It's not a car park, it's my land that I own underneath the arches. Nobody's asked me for any risk assessment. I'll apply with any risk assessment that I need to. I'll try and answer any questions that anybody wants to give to me.
Okay.
And the fact that Acorn, well, that one resident from Acorn Recovery next door, who was on a 10-week period, who doesn't live there anymore, complained. And yes, there was noise, and yes, it was on the last day of the lockdown where then we came back inside. There's a planning application gone in for the terrace, but we're not using it, so that's totally irrelevant to today, to where I want to hold the event.
Okay, Mr. Harrison,
if anybody wants to ask any more questions, I can try and answer them.
Mr. Harrison, you'll get your chance in just a minute or two now to put your case forward.
Yeah.
Members, have any members any questions for Jill Wolfendale, for the Environmental Health Officer? Councillor Ingham.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So reading this is giving me an indication, Jill, that we have regular noise issues from this property. I've just heard what the gentleman said about it being his property. The licence is to this property, isn't it? But it's not licensed as a public house. So the gentleman's premises licence is for this property, but allows him to hold events. Have I got that right?
Yeah.
I don't know, John, can you answer the question about the premises licence? Really?
Yeah, Councillor, Mr Harrison holds a premises licence for the Cirque Bar, which is a one unit of Bank Parade, and that is the premises licence for that. When he applies for that, he has to submit a plan, and within that plan he has to demark the licensable area. So Mr Harrison currently holds a premises licence issued by Burnley Council for the Cirque Bar, which is one unit, and the boundary of that is just the inside of that unit. So to try and describe it, I'm sure Mr Harrison can describe it better than me, but it's about the size of a large garage. It's no bigger than that. It consists of a ground floor and an upper floor. He also has a property next door but one at 61, but that is not currently licensed. So he is, in terms of a licensed premises, he just holds one licensed premises for the Cirque Bar. Any other property that he owns or has access to in this respect is not licensable, and the mechanism he is using to try and get what you might term a temporary license for the downstairs area at the rear, completely separate to the Cirque Bar, is via the temporary events notice. So that's what yourselves are considering today, is whether or not you consider he is able to have a temporary license for 4 days for the car park area at the rear of Bank Parade, which is, if you look at the photographs, is at the river level rather than the street level. So it's probably 3 or 4 stories underneath the ground level on Bank Parade. And hopefully, if you do need any clarification in respect of the layout, the pictures that have been provided in the pack should give you that sort of overview if you're not familiar with the area. I hope that's clarified, Councillor, any queries that you have.
Thank you, John.
Any other member, any more questions? Mr Harrison, it's your turn now to present your report and tell us anything that you want to tell us. Okay, Mr
I'm
Harrison.
very sorry. I thought that was the time before where I could tell you what it's all about, really. But all I'm trying to do is stage a small event at the rear of my property. And I know Jill Wolfendale's come with these objections for the terrace, but it's nothing to do with the terrace. It's totally irrelevant to this. There's talk of all the safety issues. I'll comply with any safety issue that I need to anything from any member of whoever. I'll apply to that. It's not a car park. Can I just say that? It's my land that I own to the rear of 61 Bank Parade. And I also own the freehold to the land and the buildings around. I put in for 4 temporary events this week, and everyone's been rejected on the fact going off this noise nuisance from which was originally one tenant next door at Acorn Recovery that's complained. Just the whole thing has just spiraled out of control. There was noise. As I said, I built a temporary structure on the back of 61 Bank Parade to serve alcohol during COVID to try to make some income. Jill says about the unsafety of it. It's not unsafe. We've got things signed off that it said it wasn't unsafe, and I don't operate that way. So it is safe. So that's irrelevant, I think. And I'll just try and answer any other questions that anybody want to ask me. It's a site of heritage where the archways. It's beautiful. People need to see it. It's my land. There's access there through my property, and it'd be a fantastic event. It'd be fantastic for Burnley, because I'm hoping once all this nonsense finishes with the one resident from Acorn Recovery. I've spoke to the management at Acorn Recovery, the under manager and the manager. They're both very happy with me now. They're saying they're not going to object to anything I propose to the licence, which is going in for 61 Bank Parade. I had issues with Peter Dunn, who sent me an apology of things he wrote about me and said about me. And like I say, I'm here to answer any questions that anybody wants to ask me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Environmental health, have you any more questions you want to ask of Mr. Harrison? You're muted.
Sorry, no, yeah, I think I've obviously the issues that I've raised about the safety issues and the noise issues. Obviously, just to reiterate, obviously we've had the two recent noise concerns about noise from people living directly adjacent to where the proposed event's going to take place as well.
Okay, thank you. Can I just ask Mr. Harrison, what's the access for people who are coming to this event? How do they get to this? I'm saying car park, although this land.
Yes, well, there's access to the end of 51 Bank Parade. There's like a walkway there, which is lit by street lights. But again, I'm open to any health and safety issues. We can provide extra lighting. There's also a private footpath through access through St Peter's. So that's flat, and that will enable any disabled people to come along as well. It's the first event that I'm planning, but this is hopefully going to be maybe 12 events per year, per month, Christmas markets, things like that. The arches are absolutely a stunning piece of heritage. People need to see them. There were an application went in about 20 years ago, I believe, for like a restaurant down there. It's amazing. People need to see it, and I will get the license eventually when all the hassle from the Acorn Recovery, which is now all finished with. I were hoping to provide letters today, but Sarah Tattersall, the manager of Acorn, who sat down with me and said, this is one person and other people have got involved. And I think because the mention of Acorn Recovery has just caused mayhem for me, really, in trying to make a living in the bar. But that's about it. That's all I can say.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Baker.
Sorry, I think Councillor Ingham had her hand up first, Chair. So.
Oh, sorry.
Just
Councillor Ingham. Councillor Ingham, do you want to go first?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Mr. Harrison, I've obviously read these reports. I've listened to the environmental health. I've listened to John Clucas's report. My concerns primarily are you're applying for a TENS licence that will admit up to 250 people. Is that correct? Sorry. You're muted, Mr. Harrison.
No,
My-
you're muted again, Mr. Harrison.
Okay, so up to 250 people. Is that correct? You're muted again, Mr. Harrison.
No, it's still muted, Mr. Harrison.
Yep.
That's it.
There you go.
Sorry.
Okay. So can you,
That figure was put on by my licensing representative. We can make it 100 people. We can make it 20 people. We can make it one person for this event.
Okay.
I want that event, the temporary events notice, and I need every time I apply for an events notice. This is including 4 this week. They've been rejected on the grounds of noise, which was 3 months ago on a terrace that I temporarily put up there for the COVID. There was noise. I'm not saying there wasn't, but every time I apply for a temporary events notice, this keeps raising its ugly head, and I'm saying to the councillors that it shouldn't. But this is one complaint which has spiralled out of control, and we won't use the terrace, so the terrace is irrelevant. I own the land; it's not a car park.
oh, okay.
I will be put in for a full licence eventually. So I'm asking the council to give. You can put the numbers on. If you want me to take one person round there, I'll have one person. But I want a temporary events notice.
My concerns are whether there is the numbers are irrelevant. My concerns are if this was granted.
You just said they were irrelevant.
No. If you actually let me finish, Mr. Harrison.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. So my concerns are: is there going to be any security, any first aid facilities, anything that would convince us that public safety is being taken into account?
Anything that's needed for public safety and health and safety, I will provide. Anything that you request.
I would genuinely
Marshals, anything you like.
I would genuinely have hoped that as an experienced license holder, you would have already taken those things into consideration and not necessarily need us as a committee to inform you of them.
But can I just stop you there? Because like I say, I put in for 4 temporary events notice. I've put in for this one today. I'm not going to start preparations with barricades, toilets, and pay for anything like that when I know today this is going to probably get rejected. I need to get 1 temporary events notice under my belt. This shadow of the next door terrace that happened 3 months ago, 1 resident. I need to get this off the script, sort of thing. But I will apply with any safety issue, anything. I'll do anything, but I want a temporary events notice on my land under the arches. And I want to be able to hold a minimum, eventually, of 12 per year.
Okay.
And I'll do anything, but I'm not going to, I cannot spend any more money on what I have a total investment on Bank Parade now, probably around £500,000 with another £500,000 to go. So I'm putting money into this, into Bank Parade. I have a vision of Bank Parade.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Harrison. Can I move on and ask Councillor Baker if you've got any questions?
Sorry, yes, thank you, Chair. A bit confused. We've had some late objections, as I'm sure you know, Mr. Harrison, from a couple of residents who parked the cars at the land at the back. Now,
yes,
you keep saying it's land at the rear that you own, it's not a car park. Okay, so why do you in your TENS apply for it on the car park at the back? It's very confusing.
probably
It's
down
either
to-
land at the rear or it is a car park, in which case the residents sound fairly justified in saying they don't want, you know, their cars damaged and any way they sing. So could you clarify that for us, please?
Yes, it's not their car park. It's my land. The car park for Stackhouses is to the right of the footsteps adjoining St Peter's car park. The residents of Stackhouses cannot park there if I don't let them park there. They're only parking there because I let them park there. Their car parking space is adjoining St Peter's, and there's a square piece where all the residents from Stackhouses, including myself, park. I'm not taking their car parking space.
Okay.
And the event alone is on my land.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Do these residents have to pass over your land to get to their car park?
They have.
In which case, how do they do it in the midst of all this? That's suppose the other question that follows.
They have other alternative, both alternative. What do you call it? Access to the flats, to the apartments.
With cars? For the car parking at the flats area?
Yes. There's different access. There's access at the front and access at the back. Access at the back, they have car parking area, which was designated by St Peter's when it was built, and we all have a fob, which we can get access there and park around the back.
Okay.
Not where they're saying. It's to the right where they can park.
Right.
And we're talking about 2 cars here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear what you say.
Yeah.
The other thing,
thank you, Councillor Baker. Sorry, Councillor Baker, do you want to
I'm
continue?
still going, Madam Chair, sorry about that.
Okay.
Following from Councillor Inghamby, a TENS notice, as I understand it, is for a temporary event, really, and it doesn't have as much detail going as you have licensed premises, where you have to do a plan of the premises, have a premises supervisor, designate a premises supervisor. They've got to do a risk assessment and all the other things. So TENS doesn't cover this. So I would suggest, if you are doing any more, whatever happens with this one in future, that perhaps you cover all these areas that Councillor Ingham raises, because it's up to you to put them in. We can't impose conditions on a TENS. We can't say 10 people, 50 people, I don't think, on that, unless Catherine Warby corrects me. You know, what you put in for the application can only be passed as, say, we can't modify it in any way, whereas we can do with a normal premises license for serving of alcohol and licensed premises, basically. So that might be something to consider in future if legal give you the same advice later on. Okay, thank you very much. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. Catherine, do you want to come in on that and to give some legal advice?
Yes, Chair. I was just going to confirm that Councillor Baker's assessment of the situation is correct on a temporary event notice, unless it's the same area covered by a premises licence, which it isn't in this case. You're unable to add any conditions. So the application really needs to be as full as possible and deal with all the matters that you'd want to deal with to enable you to determine that the licensing objectives are being promoted.
Okay, thank you. I think what I'm picking up, and they're my concerns as well, and I'm concerned and sort of, I suppose, disappointed that you haven't addressed all the safety issues, that you say now that, well, if we tell you that you've got to, you will do. But it rather concerns me that you weren't aware that you had to do those things.
Well, I am aware, but like I say, how much do you want me to? More money do you want me to inject down there to get constant refusals? I need to know that I can hold an event down there. I'll comply, as I've said, with any safety issues and health issues, anything. Toilets, the drainage is down there, the water's down there, the electricity's down there, the lighting's down there.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I still
So
think
do you
that
want me to spend £50,000
No.
maybe and do that down there? Or what
No,
what do you
sorry,
want me to do?
No, can I just stop you? I'm not asking you to spend the money without having got the permission and the notices for you to do. But what I was asking, and what I was concerned about, is the fact that you haven't offered to do that so that you can get your temporary event notice.
Well, I am offering now. I will offer now, but that must be down to my licensing application. But of course, do you think I'd let people jump in the river or be of any danger? What do you think I'm operating here? I'm a licensee. We have a big pub in Bacup where we hold massive events. 500, 600, 700 people attend. You know, but I'm just concerned that you throw in the safety aspect at me. I'll do anything that needs to be done. Anybody can come, and if it's not, and I'll comply with anything. But I need to know that I can have this event before. Do you know how much it costs for one toilet to hire for the day? And you want me to go hiring toilets or bars or, you know? So I go forward.
Okay, I have no more questions. Councillor Ingham, do you want to ask another question?
More clarification, really. We're not saying that we want you to do these things. What we're actually saying is it would have definitely helped without any cash outlay to have put these into your application. Because it's okay, Mr. Harrison, you saying, well, if you say I have to, then I will. But it would have definitely helped your application if those things had already been considered previously. That's all we're actually stating.
Yes, well,
and trying to clarify.
Yes, well, I'm sorry I put it over that way, but that wasn't the way it was meant, because my licensing guy put the application in, and there's been no mention of anything that I have to do safety-wise. But all I can say is I'm quite prepared to do it, but obviously it's not. Pardon? Once it's granted, you know, I'll comply with anything. But what more can I say? It's a big area. It is a massive area that needs, and it will be, and has been given some serious thought. But until I go ahead, it's going to cost thousands. This is going to be part of the heritage site, and there's big plans down there. There's big plans, and they will happen. But I need some help from the council and to help me go forward. It's all that I keep getting thrown back is that I had there was a party on the terrace, and we've had one complaint from it, and then but now there is no issues with, and it's nothing to do with the terrace, and the safety issues with the scaffold. The safety issues with the scaffold were sorted out. You know, how can you keep bringing these up when this was 3 months ago as well? On the last day of the COVID, people were going out like it was Christmas. I tried to keep them calm. I'm trying to make a living, but I don't think you guys just see it that way. I'll comply with anything around the back, safety-wise, and I can do. Toilet-wise, facilities, anything. We're hoping to bring food stalls, markets, small markets in a certain area of Burnley that people don't know about, with the arches and the heritage. Just give me some help, please. That's all I'm asking.
I have to say, as far as I'm concerned, I think we've moved on from the noise. The questions that you're being asked about, and the ones that I asked, and the concerns that I know the other two councillors are picking up on, were more around the public safety side of it. Anyway, can I ask Councillor Baker, you have a question?
Yeah, I suppose it's going back to the noise bit again. Having said we've gone past that, Chair. We were led to believe that you'd said at some point that no objections have been received from any of the residents regarding the noise or anything like that. But obviously, on the late application, 2 people did put objections through, mainly based on the noise, I think. But what publicity did you give to the residents of Stackhouses and everybody to say that you were thinking and planning on this event so that they could raise objections if needed? Can I ask that? Thank you.
No, I didn't give them any.
Okay, thank you.
So
Like I say,
basically what you're saying, if you
temporary
didn't
event
tell them, how
notice
did they
for the
know what's going
outside.
on?
Sorry, one at a time. Councillor Baker.
Yeah,
Because
sorry, Mr. Harrison. It's just then if you don't tell them this event's taking place, how do they know it could be, and how can they object if they don't know?
I thought I was my licensing guy. That was his duty, you know, to if you stage an event, do you have to? Is there a certain area that you have to tell people? I don't know.
I'm not certain myself. Perhaps Catherine will come back in on that, Mr. Harrison. But basically, with planning.
So if you're not certain yourself, why would you be asking me?
Sorry?
If you're not certain yourself, why are you
I'm just
asking
asking
me?
you whether you did raise any publicity about it to ask for any objections. With planning applications, and obviously planning department publish a notice to say that that's going to happen, and then people can object. But with TENS notices, I don't know. So it's.
Can I ask our legal officer to clarify that?
Thank you, Chair. My understanding of the situation is there is no requirement on the applicant to publicly notify residents, but I guess as a matter of good neighbourliness, it probably is good practice.
Okay, thank you. Right, I think can we start to move on now, please?
So can we say that is irrelevant as well, please? That comment.
Well, we've all heard, I think, so it's okay.
Yes. No, it's just that,
can we
I
move
can go
on?
around knocking on people's doors.
Can we move on now, please,
Yes.
to summing up? Can I just point out at this time, you can't bring any new evidence in or any new material. It's just a case of summing up your representations. So can I ask our environmental health officer, please, have you anything else you want to sum up?
Yeah, really just to restate, obviously it's a 4-day event. It's going to generate some noise, obviously, whether there's music being played or not. It backs directly onto some residential properties at Stackhouses, of which obviously people are already raising concerns about the potential of it. Obviously, just really to summarise that, we do feel that we will get public nuisance complaints, and also I think the points have been made that if there will have to be some, if it was to go ahead, there would have to be some sort of risk assessments produced by Mr. Harrison to reassure people, and he would have to produce them. Obviously we can advise, but that is for him to produce in order to reassure us that he's taken into account all the safety aspects that might arise with the use of that land at the rear bank parade. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cluke, as licensing officer, do you want to sum up your representations?
Councillor, I am impartial in this matter, and I think I've presented everything that I need to at this stage, unless there's any points of clarification that anybody needs from me.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Harrison, would you like to sum up? Have you anything else you want to tell us? Anything else you want to sum up with your application? You're on mute.
You're muted.
You're still muted. Still. That's it.
Okay. No, what I'd just like to say and to tell the councillors is that I've lived here for 18 years, and I'm back on. When I look out of my window, I see the Talbot pub that held events recently, I believe it's going to be closed, but held live bands Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every week, not one, every week of the year. I can hear the music in my house. As regards the noise issue, the Coach and Horses pub have just reopened. They have live bands, not Friday, Saturday, Sundays, just Fridays and Mondays. I get Saturdays off. So as regards the noise issue, you know, it's 100 yards across the water to the Talbot pub, probably 50 yards across the water to the back of my house to the Coach and Horses pub. So if you just consider
Councillor
that
Kelly,
in
you're
the
muted.
noise,
I think you're trying to just
the noise issues
just
as well, please.
point something out to Mr. Harrison, but you're muted.
Mr. Harrison, can I just stop you there? You're bringing in some new evidence. If any evidence you should have brought in when it was when your representations. I'm just asking you to sum up now. Look, if you've anything else you want to say, just in summing up your application.
Okay.
You've gone again. You're muted again.
Unmute.
That's it, you're back. You're back.
All I'll say is that I'm just hoping we'll get the application because, yeah, I'm just trying to go forward. I'm trying to bring people to the rear of Bank Parade to show them the arches, the licensed premises. We have 3 restaurants around us that all benefit. People will benefit from the area. Let me go ahead and let me do this because it'll be good for Burnley. Believe me, what we have planned with the apartments I'm building, with the things I'm buying in the area, just please get behind me on this one, and it'll be beneficial to Burnley and to a lot of people. It'll create a lot of jobs. Once we can start the ball rolling and actually get the area licensed and able to hold the events. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Harrison. At this point now, the councillors and the committee the members will need to discuss the application and make their decision. So can I ask Alison if you will move people out into the lobby, then we can meet in private.
Yeah, can I just ask, move into private session to have your deliberations.
Okay. Can I propose then that we move into private session for our deliberations?
Other members?
Yeah, Councillor Baker and Councillor Ingham. Yes, you're happy with that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. MJ, could you? Good morning and welcome back to the Licensing Act 2003 hearing for Burnley Borough Council. The panel have concluded their deliberations and are now ready to make their decision known. Councillor Kelly, could you share that decision, please?
Thank you. The panel's decision is that the application for the temporary event notice has been refused. Can I ask our legal officer to go through the reasons, please? The final decision notice.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the temporary event notice has been determined with a view to promoting the licensing objectives, in particular the public safety and the prevention of public nuisance objectives. The committee has had regard to the temporary event notice and the relevant representations received. The committee have had regard to the Section 182 guidance issued by Her Majesty's Government, and the committee have had regard to its own statement of licensing policy, in particular the guidance on temporary event notices. Having taken all of the above into consideration, the Council considers it's appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives to issue a counter notice in relation to the temporary event notice applied for by Mr. Ray Harrison of 61 Bank Parade, Burnley, for the 27th to the 30th of August 2021. The reasons for the decision are twofold. Firstly, on the grounds of public safety, the committee finds that the applicant has not considered the following factors affecting the licensing objective of public safety and considered and presented these in his application. They are that there was no necessary health and safety and fire risk assessments at the site relating to the event or other measures to reduce risk to public safety. There's no detailed plan of safe access to and egress from the site, including for emergency services. There are no measures to be employed to monitor the occupancy of the site so that maximum capacity numbers stated on the application are not exceeded. There is no information relating to the number of people employed or engaged to secure the safety of everyone attending the premises or event. There are no measures for the appropriate instruction, training and supervision of those employed or engaged to secure the safety of everyone attending the site. There's no information or details of how facilities will be provided at the event. This is not limited to toilet facilities, first aid, provision of power to site, including a copy of the current electrical inspection report certificate, if relevant. In relation to the prevention of public nuisance objective, the committee find that there have been complaints received from local residents in relation to the proposed 10. They live in properties in close proximity to the site, and the committee accepts the opinion of environmental health that the event will generate noise complaints given the close proximity to the site. The applicant has also not adequately demonstrated he has considered factors affecting the licensing objectives of the prevention of public nuisance in the application, covering the following: the location of the site and its proximity to residential and other noise sensitive premises, the design and layout of the site, in particular the presence of noise limiting features, measures taken or proposed for management and supervision of the site and associated open areas to minimise unreasonable disturbance by customers and staff arriving or departing from the premises and the delivery of goods and services. There's been no production of a noise management plan. There are no management arrangements for the collection and disposal of litter and refuse and the control of pests, and no arrangements for ensuring that adequate and suitably maintained sanitary provision and washing facilities are provided for the number of people expected to attend any premises or events. The matters set out in the paragraphs above have had and or have the effect of undermining the safety, the licensing objectives of the prevention of public nuisance and public safety. In those circumstances, it is considered that the issue of a counter notice serves to protect the public safety and prevention of public nuisance objectives. Consideration has been given to all the powers available to the licensing authority under section 105 of the Act and concludes that the issue of a counter notice is both necessary and proportionate in the circumstances. I do need to advise Mr. Harrison that there is a right of appeal against the counter notice. He has a right to appeal against this decision. Any such appeal must be made to the Magistrates' Court within 21 days beginning with the day on which he was notified by the licensing authority of the decision appealed against. However, no appeal can be brought later than 5 working days before the day on which the event period specified in the temporary event notice begins. That's the decision. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, if I can, through you, the applicant has left the meeting, but I think it should be made clear that this was all explained to him prior to us coming back into public session.
Yeah. Mr. Harrison has heard the whole of that decision notice, and he's had the legal advice about appealing if he wants to. We did give that to him in private, so he has heard it all. Just wanted to make absolutely clear. So I think we're done. Can I just say very
Councillor,
sorry, John.
Councillor, just to reinforce the message, I will go and see Mr. Harrison now at his premises, and I will serve the papers on him personally, and I will give him appropriate advice in respect of any applications he wants to make, and we will see if we can avoid the need for further hearings if he can take advice. And I thank councillors and officers for the speed in which we've put this together.
Mr. Clucas, can I just recommend that if you are going to see Mr. Harrison, could you please particularly refer him to the guidance in our licensing policy about temporary event notices at page 24, which sets out the matters that he needs to include, especially where events are meant to be taking place or proposed to take place in the open air or involving temporary structures.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, everybody, thank you. It's been quite a long morning. Thank you to the councillors, and very special thank yous to all the council officers. Thank you very much indeed, and we'll see you all.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you.